All right. Well, the red light's on. It's go time here. We are recording. So, Thomas, why don't you tell my listeners what you had for breakfast this morning?
Okay, I wasn't anticipating this one. That's a great question. For breakfast, I usually don't eat breakfast.
Okay.
And I have a cup of coffee and sit on my deck and welcome the morning that way. So it's always coffee.
All right.
And I'm not really a breakfast eater. So
okay. Are these fancy coffees? Just straight black? What are you putting in there to spice it up?
yeah. So I'm a bit of a pansy drinker when it comes to coffee. Like I have friends that are drinking in like black, right?
Sure.
So I drink mine with some liquid gold, we call it. It's this it's like coffee mate. It just turns it into a fruity, sweet little drink, and
Yeah.
that's
all right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good little, nice little kick to it. Maybe just gets it going. Nice.
Yeah.
Takes out that bitterness. I think is in that.
Right on. Yeah, it just turns it into some happy stuff.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, cool.
Yeah.
I think we're all sounding good here. So why don't we jump into the actual interview part? So
Yeah.
why don't you tell my listeners what you're currently raising money for over on Kickstarter?
Yeah, sure. So I've been a professional artist for 35 years and done everything from Time Magazine, Mad Magazine, Entertainment Weekly, Sports Illustrated. I've worked for Disney, Coca-Cola. And in the last number of years, I've been drawing and posting online. I have a following there. We're all connected. All of my artist friends, I have friends that are super rock stars, and we're all sort of connected into people that really just starting, and people that just are encouraged. And so we're all sort of connected, helping each other. So as I've been posting over the last few years, these drawings that I've been doing, a lot of people really love them and said, hey, could you do a book? Could you put this together as a book? And so I put it together as a book, assembled it, and sort of just reached out to the community and said, hey, this is a book that I really want to finish up. It's a drawing sketchbook showcasing and all of my drawings of the last few years in a certain style. So it's just raw pencil drawings. And so the book is 72 pages, and it's gotten strong support so far. So
That's cool.
The community showed me a lot of love, and it's super, super cool. I'm super pumped to do it. And we have about maybe 16 days left. So
Nice. So for the layman out there, kind of, and they can't see it. So kind of explain what some of these photos look like. What are they? What you call it? Pencil sketching? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super cool. Yeah. So for example, if you went to my website, thomasfluharty.com, and you look at what I'm doing, I paint a lot of pop culture. I draw a lot of pop culture. So I'm drawing, icons of the entertainment industry, of music. So Cher, Bob Dylan, Mick Jagger, the Beatles. And I draw things that people love. And it's also called fan art. And so at the same time, I'm a caricaturist. I do caricatures. So, big head, tiny little bodies, funny, humorous draftsman. And so I'm just drawing these drawings and putting them up and sharing them on every given couple days I post. And it's somebody had sort of said that, hey, Tom, you're entertaining. You're entertaining us is what you're doing. And so in one sense, it's sort of like I'm entertaining people, not trying to elevate what I'm doing. I'm just simply using somebody else's words, but it's fun. It's it's drawing amped up and into a sort of a level of where you might love drawing or be a fan of drawing and be like, cool. Or you might just be a fan of Paul McCartney or Bob Dylan and say, whoa, I'd love to get that print. So
Sure.
it's I'm not alone in doing this. A lot of my friends are great draftsmen and great artists as well, and we all just draw. So because I've been drawing every day for 35 years, I'm reaching a certain level that you start getting better and people start liking your stuff more because you start appreciating it. You know what I mean? That's really what it is, but it's a Kickstarter on that book.
So when you started to put together, was there sort of a theme to this book? Was there, even though you have maybe all these drawings, did you try to focus on something?
Well, really the focus is that it's just this blue pencil style. I'm going to move out of this window here so you can maybe see a little bit better. But basically, the book is it's just this. I'm drawing with this thing called a Prismacolor 901 Indigo Blue. It's just this. You know, everybody's used the colored pencil before. It's a certain colored pencil. It's blue, and it has this really cool look to it. And so it takes it out of just a graphite, like black and white drawing into this beautiful blue that actually, if you're going to put something in your house, something with color works better on your walls than maybe just a pencil sketch. So it's just this way that I've been drawing over the last 3 years maybe, and it's really connected and sort of touched people where they've responded more than my other drawings. And so it's something that I absolutely love to do. So I'm always drawing in this manner, in this way, trying to get better and develop.
Yeah. So when did you realize that you had this sort of talent for drawing? I mean, when did this start for you? Right.
It was just something I did as a little kid. I mean, so my story is a kind of a crazy story, but it's just where I grew up drawing. So I'm eating cereal and I'm drawing the cereal box. I'm drawing Captain Crunch. I'm drawing Quisp. I'm drawing Quake. I'm drawing Batman. I'm drawing like from Mad Magazine, and I'm just drawing I'm drawing, but I'm continuing to draw. So everybody draws, but I'm like drawing over the top. Like I'm just drawing like excessively. And so like my one friend said, he invited his cousin over and to draw, and his cousin petered out in about 20 minutes, and Dave was ready to just keep cranking. So we're the kind of, and my friends, we're the kind of artists that just kept doing it. You know what I mean? And then finally I stopped drawing, got into did sports. Then I got into drugs around I don't know, 8th grade, and then that wiped out everything. And then I had a really bad got lost for a number of years, and then finally wandered into an art class, and with a 10th grade teacher, and I was stoned out of my mind, but she kept encouraging me, like, Tom, you can do this, you can do this. So she sort of breathed life into me and encouraged me to keep drawing. Wow. And then after that, I got accepted into a joint vocational school, and then so I went there and didn't have to do art. I mean, didn't have to do math or any other subjects. And I just did math. I mean, I just did art all the time. And then my 12th grade teacher got in my head and said, Tom, you can do anything you set your mind to. And I was like, this is crazy. Then my father, who was sort of out of the picture, came back into the picture, tells me, you're going to go to school one way or another. I say, that's not really going to happen. You don't have money. He was kind of messed up. Anyways, he dies. He gets killed in a robbery. I'm completely overwhelmed. I get to go to art school for free because of this, the way that it happened. And so art school all of a sudden is a reality. These doors open. I go to Pittsburgh, get a degree, get a job offer in New York City, move to New York City at 21, and work with Ken Bald, who's, drew Dr. Kildare, best friends with Stan Lee, who did Spider-Man. And I'm training under this guy for 13 years. And it was just a crazy reality of opportunity and blessing outside of the pain and the darkness. Yeah. And then so after that, got married in New York City to my wife. And then we moved here to Minneapolis like 22 years ago, and then everything happened. From Mad Magazine gave me an opportunity to do the cover. I did that, and then just New York Times called me. All these things started happening because after 13 years of hanging in New York and being trained and working hard and having dreams, that things just happened. Sure. And so the last number of years, 22 years, I've been freelance in Minneapolis, and so it's just been a real gift to be able to do this every day. It's what I love, Just like you said, I work out of the home, raised my wife raised our daughters. Yep. I'm home every day. I know my daughters. I know their struggles. I know what they like, what they don't like. But I was here and we raised them and they all left. And now, it's a crazy story, Jeff. It's like, it's just this crazy thing, of like, how do we get to do this? And it's crazy.
That's awesome. You know, I'm always fascinated when I talk to artists, like what, you know, kind of the story you're describing. I've talked to a few of them on the podcast who have these successful Kickstarters, and they're just fluent in art. But I'm always fascinated on the training and stuff. When you mentioned, like, I was training for 13 years, when it comes to like art and design and drawing and all that sort of stuff, what is training behind that? I mean, what's the skill sets that you're picking up on? Because it just seems like so much of it is just natural talent, right? You mentioned I'm drawing a cereal box, right? So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Training and working on
right
for your craft.
Yeah, well, to get graded at art as an artist, or to get to a level of understanding and knowledge, it requires like years of frustration and struggle and crying and erasing the paper until the tabletop appears through the table, through your paper, because you've erased so much. It's just years and years of frustration, but it's also years and years of getting drawing next to good people and learning and talking about the struggle. So it's really filled with struggle. I mean, it's like, how do you become a professional baseball pitcher? You throw a lot of baseballs, but you throw a lot of baseballs around really good people that tell you, you need to do this, you need to work on this is what you're doing wrong. So this whole community project, being a great artist or growing, is about a community project. It's not a solo effort. It's like being connected in. So this guy, Kenny Bald, told me all the time, Tommy, this isn't really that great. This sucks, or whatever. And you learn how to take this and you learn how to grow, but you work on the fundamentals is how it really always works, right? Yeah. It's like throwing a baseball or whatever you're doing. It always goes back to the basics. And so and then, you know, studying with great people, I've always made a habit of doing that. So I always try to connect with great people, seek them out, tell them how great they are. Hopefully I can be their friend if they like my work, and we connect and start growing that way as well. So it's a matter of just hard work and growing and being mediocre for a long time.
Are there moments that you can look back on and know that, you know, you could see where you went from, I don't know, being a minor league player to man, I'm doing much better, I'm going to be a pro. You know what I mean? Like, did you see moments like that happening over the course of the last 13, 14 years or so?
Well, I guess there's a few ways to maybe look at it. Sometimes if a magazine calls you and gives you an opportunity, like when I did the cover of Mad Magazine, that was a huge break. That was like, I could have said, hey, I've arrived, and just sort of rest on that and say, I'm awesome. But I was telling someone this the other day, the issue isn't so much that I did Mad Magazine and now I've arrived. The issue is that that was an okay painting, but now I'm a better painter. I'm a better draftsman. So now it's not so much I did it. It's like, that's okay. That's an okay painting. So it's a matter of getting better and better and better. And now I could do it at a different level. So you do arrive at certain at moments. And the arrive that I mean is that where all of a sudden, if all of a sudden I've been drawing in a certain way and I'm getting ignored, let's say, by art directors and magazines. All of a sudden, if I change something, which I did in 2004, I had a change in how I approached my work. All of a sudden, it opened up all these doors, and all these people started giving me more work because I made an adjustment in being so weird and freaky. I started doing caricature a little bit more conservatively, but more portraitive, as opposed to.
Well, I think that's interesting, because how did you self-reflect and like?
Yeah.
And edit yourself? Because I think that happens to a lot of people that can't edit themselves, you know? Yeah,
it's a great question. What happened was I got rejected. So I got to plug my phone in. It's going to die. So I got rejected. So, for example, Der Spiegel called me, and they gave me the cover for Der Spiegel, which is it's like Time Magazine of Europe. So Der Spiegel's a big deal. And I knew it was a big deal. I did the cover, and I had a style at the time of doing caricature, big head, tiny bodies, and I was in magazines. I was in People magazine. I had done Mad magazine and stuff like that, you know, Sports Illustrated. But when I came to Der Spiegel, they said, "Here's the cover." I did it. It was George Bush. He was really skinny, little spindly legs. He was shooting his guns off. He's crazy, wacky, a little bit of sweat on his brow, on his little lip. And they looked at it after I was done. They said, "Tom, we can't run this." And I was broken. I was like, "You're kidding me." First opportunity for the cover of Der Spiegel. And the art director said, "Tom, can I tell you, give you some advice?" And I said, "Yeah, go ahead." And he says, "If you tune it back a little bit, we have a conservative readership. And if you scare them with your drawings, we can't run them. But if you make this and you figure out how to make adjustments, where this isn't so crazy, you'll get more work. And that's exactly what I did. I did went right out after that rejection and created a piece that was George Bush as a cowboy. And I have it if you want to see it as well. But it's this portraitive, big head, tiny little cowboy body on George Bush, and people really kind of connected with it, and they loved it. And it got in a show or something like that. But it was just that adjustment that was really me, not just trying to change the style to get work, but it was really, okay, what would I do if I were to make adjustments? That's what happened. So it was rejection, correction, and then it really ignited my future for becoming more myself.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what's been the steps to get a book put together? That seems like it's a whole nother animal to kind of collect all these things. What do you have to do to start getting these drawings all ready to go for publication?
Right. So they already exist because I've drawn them. They collect because I post regularly every week on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And so they already exist. They're things I want to draw, things that I love. And like, I'm looking at Leon Bridges, I'm listening to his music, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. I want to draw Leon because he's cool. He's super iconic. I want to draw Sting. I want to draw whatever. So I draw and I post, and I keep these things, in my folder on my Mac. And so then I realized I'm going to build a book. I'm going to grab, it's going to be 72 pages of pure drawing hedonism, I say. And so it's like 72 images, but I have like 400 drawings. So I have to assemble at least 100 that I think are solid, that I absolutely love, and that show different variety. And I show my friends, and we sort of whittle it down to what we think is really the coolest. And then you whittle it down.
Yeah. How do you take... I mean, was there a point in life, though, it sounds like, I think everybody goes through this maybe in their late teens, early 20s, where, so much of your profession is criticism, right? Like, you're mentioning, like, you have to actually judge your own work and say, these 100 are good for this book, or listen to, or trust people around you.
Right.
Was that something that was learned, or have you always been that sort of open to criticism of art? And I come from, I was a songwriter, so I've had many people say, that's not the right song, so I might have 400 songs, but people know like 30 of them, so I always find that that's just it's a very strong skill set to have. And I wonder if that sort of happens too in the book, and if that's happened for you.
Right. It doesn't just happen to you, because as artists, we're proud and we create. And this is like, hey, this is precious to me. This is me. What are you telling me you don't like this? What do you mean she's not pretty? What do you mean she's ugly? What do you mean her eye is cross-eyed? So it's almost like we amateurs, I say, are like this. And I don't know many people like this. The great artists are humble, by the way. My friends who are rock stars that draw for Pixar and DreamWorks and all the movies, these guys are humble. They're amazing, and they're amazing draftsmen. But they can take criticism, and so I learned how to be teachable by drawing storyboards for 35 years. And when you draw storyboards, these art directors, they don't have any gloves on. They're just telling you how bad you suck and that the drawing is crap and it doesn't work, and draw it again. So you learn pretty easily, pretty quickly after 35 years of drawing storyboards that you're just serving these art directors and creatives. So that is where you learn it. It is also, I think, like you said, one of your greatest skill sets. In the book, on the back page, I want to have this phrase that says, our greatest skill set is to be humble and teachable. Yeah. That's it. Because we're not solo artists here. We need each other. We create by being around people that are better than us, and we create by being accountable in a community of a few trusted advisors.
Sure. And what have you looked for or sought out in terms of a trusted advisor? Is it just friendship? What were you looking for?
Yeah. So, for example, being online, in a social with social media, it's a tight knit community. So we all have friends, we all have our favorites. But I'm intentional with what I do. So over the years, for example, one of my trusted advisors is David O'Keefe, and he does pop culture. If you look up David O'Keefe pop culture, he's brilliant. But I was judging a show. I've always loved his work. And I was judging a show in 2004 and said, wow, this artist is off the charts. I've always loved David's work. He's amazing. So I never could figure out how to reach him because he was a bit of a doofenshmirtz with like not having his name out there where I could reach out to him. But everybody knew him. So I finally was judging the show. There's his phone number. I call him up. And I call him up to tell him how awesome he is. And we became buddies at that point, and we've stayed friends. He's one of my dear friends and one of my best advocates and confidants and a colleague where he'll say that doesn't work or why. I have another friend, Gary Locke, that does the same thing. Another friend, Kevin Sacco. These are buddies that are serious draftsmen, and they will shoot down mediocrity. They'll challenge you. So just by reaching out and telling people that you love that they're awesome and tell them what you love about their work. Don't be afraid to share their work. Don't be afraid to be humble and just acknowledge greatness. That can work to your advantage. Just don't try to be have it be the only reason.
Right.
You know, that you're trying to manipulate something. They know. But really these things are organic. I've told people that they're great and nothing's become of our friendships, but the friendships that are really meant to be, those are the ones that stick. And I try to treat everybody in a genuine way, and try to encourage everybody that's at various levels. But it seems like you know who you'll connect with, and
Sure.
and those are the ones that stick, and they help you as you move through your career.
What do you tell somebody who might be 16, 17 that has that glimmer of, or they've got that talent in there? Like what does today's culture look like for drawing and creating like that? Like what's the advice right now? Is it, you got to go to college, or you just got to have connections? What do you kind of tell people?
Yeah, it's a whole different day. What do you say to a 16, 17-year-old kid? You go to school and spend, $60,000 a year and get out with, what is it, 5 years now, and you're looking at $250,000, $300,000. I mean, like, that's absolutely crazy. That's a mortgage payment, and you're 22. You have to make yourself marketable. But the number one thing I would tell a 16, 17-year-old kid is draw, study. Try to study with great artists wherever you live, and go study. If it's an atelier, like a studio that they have, go there, study. Work as hard as you can. Buy books. Go online, try to figure out how to study online. I teach at a place called schoolism.com, and it's just I have students all over the world. So I'm teaching 15-year-old kids. And they're studying with me. I've got 35 years of experience. And so the world is an online school now. Yeah. And so you can actually reach out to your heroes and talk to them. Mm-hmm. This didn't happen when I was, 35 years ago, 1984, 83, 81, 82, come on. I mean, the web didn't exist. Email didn't exist. I mean, you know what I mean? You had to buy a book and figure this out. But yeah, reach out. If you can study with in somebody's studio, do it. If you have the money to go to school, try to figure out what you want to do, what you absolutely love to do, and try to do that. And whatever it takes to do that, do it. If it means you have to drop $300,000 or you have it, then that's the worst case scenario. Yeah. But if you can go out, get a job, and let's say you're a designer and you're going to design for like logos or whatever, there are staff positions that exist for that. Mm-hmm. You can get a staff job. That's cool. So it might be worth it. If you're just going to be an illustrator, there's no staff jobs as an illustrator necessarily, like there was a long time ago. But if you're going to get into animation, go out to California, go to these art schools there, talk to your heroes now. Hey, where should I go? There's all these things you can be doing. And it's all basically linked into social media and connecting with your heroes.
Well, and it sounds like just like in music, it still comes down to the 10,000-hour rule. Draw every day.
Exactly.
Draw your butt off.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ira Glass, real quick. That's a very interesting, necessary video. I talk about it in the book as well, my Kickstarter book. It's like Ira Glass said it very succinctly in his video called Creativity. It's like 1 minute and 37 seconds. It's the most brilliant way of saying this I've ever heard. And it is just basically that our taste is killer. We have this killer taste, but what comes out of our hands is not lining up with our killer taste. And so there's this gap. And so you shorten that gap by drawing, studying. And you have to do maybe 10,000 drawings before you close that gap and your taste is lined up with your ability.
Yeah.
And you've closed that gap. But it's the 10,000 hour rule,
yeah.
you know?
I love it. I do some teaching myself, and I tell that to almost everybody. Like, especially when it comes to mixing. I used to own recording studios, and like I said, I still do live sound for mega churches. And
that's awesome.
I get people who are just like, oh, I'm 17, I want to mix. It's like, man, I've
that's
been
awesome.
20 some years, man, and I'm still learning something new. So
right on.
Well, let's flip over to the actual Kickstarter. So, I mean, we're talking with about 16 days to go, and this will go out, and there'll probably be 14, 13, something along those lines. And I mean, you've crushed your goal. You had a $7,500 goal, so fairly low. But I wanted to talk because I think this is just an awesome project. So you're sitting at about almost 22 grand. So, you know, what did you do to get ready to launch this Kickstarter outside of it? Obviously, you had the community going on Instagram and you were posting and being active, but what did you do to kind of just get ready before you launched?
Yeah, so the best way to get ready is, number one, take about a week and read it. Read Kickstarter, study it, read the questions, read the concerns, read the fears, read the successes, spend time reading it. So spend a lot of time writing this thing and crafting it and shaping it and rewriting it and editing it, and have someone that knows what they're doing. My wife is my editor. She's a brilliant writer and she edits. So we edit this thing. And I talk to people, my friends who are rock stars who've actually done it and succeeded. You know what I mean? They've actually succeeded at successful campaigns. And so I talk to them and I pick their brains, and I tell them what I'm going to do, and they tell me what to do, what not to do. And I say, here's what I'm thinking of. Here's my funding goal. So when I came up with 7,500, it's not like all of a sudden I got $7,500 in my pocket or 22,000 in my pocket. You'd be surprised. There's not a lot of this is going into my pocket. A lot of this is shipping.
Yep.
A lot of it's taxes.
I know.
And so you Kickstarter gets a kick, gets a cut. So there's these, but it's a total amazing thing. Don't get me wrong. It's helped me to sell more of my book when it comes out, but it's a serious thing. This is not to be taken lightly. And actually, like about a couple of weeks ago, I looked at all the failed Kickstarter things that they actually show you, and I thought, what the heck was I thinking? I could have failed in front of the whole world, you know, like this is like, I don't know if I would do this so quickly in the future. Like, hey, everybody, I didn't get funded. Like, oh my gosh, you know, like, and so you just pick your friends' brains who've done it, and you study it, and you put it and make it your job to learn and understand, you know, what is this thing that I'm getting ready to do? But I would say approach it with great caution.
Yeah. So you've got, you know, so obviously with a couple weeks to go still in the campaign, and then there's 10 days or so for the money to drop. But what starts to happen after that money comes in? You mentioned a little bit that obviously doesn't go in your pocket, but what starts in the process of you getting this book done and out to its backers?
Yeah. So, again, this is all new for me. So, but I know that right now, since we've met our goal, I'm placing the order for this book. I'm getting this book going and moving. So it ends in 16 days. It'll probably be 13 by the time your podcast drops. But I need to start getting the things done that I know need to be done. So there are prints that I need to be made. There's a lot of things that I can actually do already. And then once I come, I'm going to be traveling a little bit. I have some thing that I have to do with some travel plans. But once I get back, my job, thankfully, it's funded and becoming more funded every day. That it allows me that's going to be my job. Yeah. So whatever money that I do make of it, it's obviously allows me to be an artist, and it allows me to do the things that I need to do to sort of reward people. So I'm actually drawing in the book. I have one tier that's commissions, and so there's 6 of those, and so I owe people drawings now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I have work to do, and thankfully it's cool, and I'm grateful for it. So
that's great. And you've got a stretch goal announced, right? I believe I think it's around 25K. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just dropped that today. I don't know if the video is working properly, but yeah, it's basically a reward, and it's like, hey guys, I think we can reach 25,000, and if we reach 25,000, share this with your friends, obviously. But if we reach 25, I'm going to take some of the excess, and now I'm gonna get some cool prints made for everybody. And so there's like 4 images that I've made, 4 drawings that people know about, that I've posted on Kickstarter, and I posted them on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And if the majority rules, so out of 4 prints, if they say, hey, we love the Pope, let's we would like that as an 8.5 by 11 print, and so whatever that is chosen, I'll get that made into a print and put that in with everybody. So it's just awesome. Like an extra goodie.
Yeah, it's a great stretch goal. Really great stretch goal.
Cool.
So what what does the next year look like? Is this something that you've kind of envisioned? Maybe you're going to be doing a series of books. Do you get into like a teaching book at some point? Do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
What does the next year look like for you?
That's cool. Well, the next year, actually, first of all, this is extremely encouraging. So when you dream of something, it does 2 things. It says, wow, I can actually create product. This is beyond just product. I'm not just doing this to make money. This is intertwined with passion, and it obviously you want to make money, but it's like this says to me and encourages me to go forward and further with other projects or pitch other projects possibly. So I have been thinking, wow. I've been doing this 35 years. I have people that follow me and love my work. Like and I already teach online. I am going to do a like an instructional book of just deeper subjects. The book, the Prismacolor 901 Indigo Blue book, is more like thought process. And so there's thinking. It's the way I think. The one book I'm thinking about tossing around is an instructional book of trying to keep it at a decent size, where it's like how to draw, how to use value. What exactly is Tom Fluharty's teaching method for values? And I don't have time to get into values. I know everybody are not artists, but a value is values. The how you use values is a very important topic. Maybe even just how do you draw an eye? How do you draw an eye? How do you draw a foot? What are you thinking about? So that's one book I want to do, is a sort of a tutorial and a teaching book. I also been drawing a ton of dogs, and we're going down. So I want to do a dog book as well. I don't know if I'm going to fund that through Kickstarter, but I'm also going to probably approach one of my favorite publishers, Chronicle Books, and I really want to do a very complex book on dogs. And I already have been drawing dogs for the last few years. So I have it's a part of me. It's called Thomas Fluharty's Mad World of Dogs. And so it's just crazy dogs. And on my site, if you look at me on social media, I did a big print called Fantastic Day, big print of that. So anyways, all that to say, I'm going to do a dog book. And then we're also going to go down and start engaging with the dog freaks of the world at the dog championships in Orlando in December. So we're getting a table, a booth, and we're going to start engaging with the dog freaks,
That's very cool. Very cool. Well, where can people dive into your world outside of Kickstarter? How can people find you online?
Yeah, at Instagram, Thomas Fluharty, Instagram. Twitter, it's Thomas Fluharty again. Fluharty is F as in Frank, Luharty. You can shoot me a connect over at Tom Fluharty at Facebook. If you go to Thomas Fluharty at Facebook, that's my art page. I don't really post on there anymore. I just can't manage that. It's too much to do. But also thomasfluharty.com. If you just Google my name into Google, that'll come up. Also, I teach at Schoolism, which is super cool. That's a subscription service where you could actually tap in and let me just see. And you can tap in and follow me on Schoolism. And then you can also look at the other great artists that are involved with Schoolism as well. Super cool.
That's awesome. Well, Thomas, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I mean, you're in the middle of a Kickstarter and you got a lot going on. So this was a great conversation for me and my listeners. And I wish you nothing but success, man. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Jeff, I'm so honored. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today and shout me out.
No problem, man. All right. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks, buddy. Bye-bye now.